Okay, so it's been a week with one of the last major flagship phones being released this year, the new Google Pixel 7 Pro. Now, continuing down this weird tradition, the Pixel 7 and the 7 Pro were probably the most leaked phones in 2022, as Google just straight up announced them a while back, so most of us knew what to expect. But I was still super excited to get my hands on them to play with, and Google was cool enough to send me out an early unit of the Pixel 7 Pro for me to check out. So today I want to go over how my experience has been using this phone 1 week later. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is physical design, and I'm happy to say that the Pixel 7 Pro will likely go down as one of the best put together Pixels of all time. Now, I should also note that it's very similar to last year's Pixel 6 Pro, which really represents Google's shift in design to better align with current smartphone trends, but there are a few things to take notice of on the newest offering. So the Pixel 7 Pro maintains many of the core design elements, such as the glass-on-glass build connected together with a nice aluminum frame, as well as the now signature Pixel camera bar that stretches across the entire back panel of the phone. I have the new Obsidian colorway, which is the Pixel 7 Pro's version of black, and I do like it. It's got a real sleek finish to it, and I particularly like how the frame and the camera ledge is color matched. Now, subtle difference number one, the camera ledge on the Pixel 6 Pro is made out of glass and is also a separate piece that's connected to the back of the frame, whereas in the ledge on the Pixel 7 Pro is actually made out of metal and has a unibody design that's actually an extension of the frame itself. This makes for a more clean and premium aesthetic, even though it is subtle. You also get some more pronounced camera cutouts as well that I'm kind of on the fence about. I like the way the cameras are laid out on the Pixel 6 Pro a little bit better, but I don't know, this new look could grow on me. The other subtle difference comes with the display and the frame. The display is less curved than its predecessor, which I personally prefer. It still has that infinity look, but it's not as aggressive as before, and that in turn makes the 7 Pro have a little bit more of a thicker frame. It's again a small thing, but it makes the phone better to grip and, to me, ultimately better in the hand. But aside from those minor differences, if you're familiar with the Pixel 6 Pro, the 7 Pro is going to look and feel quite familiar. But my experience overall when it comes to design 1 week later has been great. I'm still so impressed at how much the newer Pixels differ in a good way when it comes to build quality and overall looks. The 7 Pro is a bona fide premium flagship device in this category now, and the only complaint I could come up with is that everything on this phone has a glossy finish, so it's quite a fingerprint magnet. But it's definitely nothing to lose sleep over. I'm very much nitpicking here, as the physical design of the Pixel 7 Pro is great. Now, when it comes to display, again, it's going to be very similar to last year, which to me is a good thing. You get a very large 6.7-inch OLED panel that comes in at a Quad HD resolution. Side note, the phone comes out of the box on a default 1080p, so you'll need to manually toggle the higher resolution. Aside from that odd setting, it performs really well. Everything comes off sharp with rich saturated colors. The contrast is great with these true blacks, and because you still have that slight edge on the sides and only this hole punch cutout at the top, you get a very immersive viewing experience. One notable upgrade from last year is that the display on the Pixel 7 Pro is brighter. You get up to 1000 nits when viewing HDR content and up to 1500 nits peak brightness, which does make a difference when you're outdoors in direct sunlight. With this being the Pro model, you also still get the 120Hz variable refresh rate, and I'm happy to say so far so good. I had some minor issues with throttling on the refresh rate on the Pixel 6 Pro, but it doesn't seem to be an issue that I'm seeing on the 7 Pro, which is great, and overall, it's a fantastic panel to interact with on a day-to-day basis. Now, when it comes to performance, one of the biggest differentiators here is that the Pixel 7 Pro is equipped with Google's latest Tensor G2 chip. This is the second generation of Google's in-house processor, which no doubt is trying to compete with the likes of the A16 Bionic and the latest Snapdragon processors. And 1 week later, the Pixel 7 Pro performs really well. You're really not going to notice how powerful a phone's processor is until you start using apps that require a lot of power, and a good example of that would be any of the dictation apps like Google Translate. It's truly incredible how fast the Pixel 7 Pro can live transcribe what you're saying in one language and immediately have it translated to another. It's kind of nuts. And one of the new features that also takes advantage of the better horsepower on the 7 Pro is the Pixel's Face Unlock. I'm a big fan of facial recognition when it comes to security, mainly because I find it to be the most convenient, and I will say the one on here works pretty well, all things considered. And I put it that way because I'm used to Face ID on the iPhone, and that system is far and away more advanced than what we have on the Pixel 7 Pro. You're not getting any depth mapping or infrared hardware, so it is going to struggle to authenticate in trickier environments like when in the dark. It's still a great addition to have though, and you still get the in-display fingerprint reader as a secondary measure in case you're not a fan of the Face Unlock. It's still not as fast as I would like it to be, but again, it gets the job done. But a different area of performance that I'm happy to say the Pixel 7 Pro does really well in is battery life. You get a similarly sized 5000 mAh battery with this phone, but I've been getting more consistent all-day battery life with the 7 Pro compared to the 6 Pro. It seems as though Google has ironed out some of the kinks with Tensor, likely making for better efficiency with the G2, so I've been able to comfortably get a little over 7 hours of screen on time if I start the day on a full charge. You can also take advantage of Google's extreme battery saver mode on the 7 Pro as well and get up to 72 hours, so it's a lot more versatile when it comes to giving you power when you need it. Now, one of the more unique new features that Google introduced with the Pixel 7 Pro is called Photo Unblur, and it basically allows you to use machine learning to take a blurry image and potentially have it corrected. And I gotta be honest, this was hard to test because I didn't have a lot of blurry pictures at hand. I usually delete blurry images right after taking them, so I had to take some on the fly. And here's how it works. We have this picture of a can that is blurred due to motion, and all you have to do is go into Edit and then Tools and then hit Unblur. And you can see that it actually does a pretty good job sharpening up the image, and it can do it really quickly. Now, it doesn't always work. You could see with this example, it may be blurred too much for any correction to be possible. And overall, even though this feature is impressive, it's not something I feel a lot of people are going to use. I mean, most people usually take multiple snaps when shooting on a phone to avoid any missed shots, and even though this is useful in a pinch, I just don't see it being sought after by many folks most of the time. But let's talk about camera performance overall, because this is a Pixel, which means you're going to get really good picture quality. Now, from a hardware perspective, you still get 3 cameras on the back. You have a 50 megapixel primary wide-angle camera, a new 12 megapixel ultra-wide that comes with autofocus, and a 48 megapixel 5x optical zoom. You also get a 10.8 megapixel selfie camera on the front, and I'm happy to say that all 4 of these cameras perform really well. Google continues to deliver class-leading image quality with their computational photography as photos come out razor sharp with saturated colors. You get that added dash of contrast, which is very Pixel, and the dynamic range is phenomenal. You also get a good range of focal lengths with the Pixel 7 Pro as well, as it uses the larger sensors that it has to provide really solid digitally zoomed 2x and 10x options. So it almost feels like you have 4 different cameras on the back for maximum utility. Another thing that I was really impressed with is the macro photography you now get with the ultra wide. You can get super detailed images that come out really good when in good lighting, and Google did a good job with it. The only criticism that I have is that sometimes the Pixel can overdo it with the processing. It does have a tendency to over sharpen sometimes or go overboard with the dynamic range to where it doesn't look natural anymore. This is really going to come down to preference, but people who are more traditional about photography may find Google's image processing to be a bit much. Now, that said, the Pixel 7 Pro to me could very well be a contender for best camera quality for stills in 2023. I am going to need to do a little bit more testing, but it's reassuring to see that Google is still taking this area of the phone very seriously. Now, when it comes to video, it's not the same story. The 4K video coming out of the 7 Pro is decent, but it's a far cry from the stellar image quality that the cameras could produce. It's still a bit noisy and the colors are not as vibrant, but it can get pretty sharp when shooting something up close, so you can definitely get some usable footage. To put it simply, it's just not at the same caliber level as some of the other players out there today. So despite the Pixel 7 Pro being quite similar to last year's model, I have to say 1 week later, I've been really enjoying it. I mean, you get all the trappings that should be on a modern flagship device, and the Pixel is going to lead the pack when it comes to camera performance and providing one of the best Android OS user experiences. And one thing that I really appreciate is that Google didn't change the starting price tag on the Pixel 7 Pro, as you can pick up the base model for $899. That's not a small amount of money, but in comparison, it is still slightly cheaper than some of the other main competitors out there. At the end of the day, if you're on a Pixel older than the Pixel 5, or if you've never had a Pixel before and you're interested, the Pixel 7 Pro would be a great option to go with. It'll give you the most premium Google experience when it comes to smartphones, and it definitely can hold its weight against the competition. But if you've already made the leap with the Pixel 6 or the 6 Pro, there's just not enough here to warrant an upgrade. If you're in that boat, I'd personally wait out another year to see what the Pixel 8 Pro brings to the table. But hey, that's just me, and I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the Pixel 7 Pro? Do you think it's going to be able to compete with the big boys? Or is Google not there yet? Curious to get your thoughts. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Okay, that's about it for this review. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you guys find it useful. Again, I really appreciate it. Check out these other reviews if you're looking for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.